Welcome to Apartment 309 Podcast, the one-sided storytelling podcast where I dive into true crime or the paranormal and tell it to my captive audience boyfriend while he reacts occasionally. Basically just recording part of our normal day. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Eric.
And we live
in Apartment 309. Is that good?
Yeah, you sound like a professional.
I was trying to do our theme song.
That was amazing. Color me impressed. I don't even know why I had somebody else make it for us.
I know, right?
Speaking of which, thank you, Dave Daddario. You can find him on davedaddario.com.
Daddario, he does good work.
I know, and his name is like just Dave Daddario.
Yeah.
I hope I'm pronouncing it right. If I'm not, I apologize, Dave. I appreciate your time and what you did to help us.
I mean, I think there's a popular music equipment brand called Daddario, so
Maybe that's where he got his musical talent from.
it could be. Kind of like how my last name, which I probably shouldn't say, but it's...
Just say your last name.
I just won't say it. No, because then people know my first name, and then they learn my last name, and then they start looking me up, and then I get stalkers.
You would. I'll have to pee on your legs before you go to work so that I can mark my territory.
Huh.
It's after a stringed instrument.
Right, yeah, so I just won't say my name.
Say my name, say my name. Nope, I don't think he heard me. For those of you that can't see us right now, which is everybody except us, I'm currently sitting in our closet and we're talking across the room.
What?
Anyway, Apartment 309, it gets crazy in here.
Yeah, it's very mysterious from here.
I know.
I kind of have to guess what you're saying.
You can always tell a Milford man. That's what I look like. Because I've only got one eye peeking around the corner of the door. Everyone knows a Milford man.
A Milford man.
Oh my goodness, my phone is just popping off over here. All right.
So how's your week been? Weekend
has been great. My son got into town. I get him for the whole summer, and so he's hanging out playing video games in the living room right now. And
he's a big boy.
He is. He's getting older, and he is now taller than me. He's picks me up for fun because he thinks it's hilarious. But yeah, he's a big kid. He's going into high school this year. He's killing it in choir. He's in band. He plays percussion. He's talented. He's in sports.
Now you're just bragging.
I am proud. I'm a proud mama.
You should be.
He's smart.
He's a good kid.
Yeah, he is. I love him. On that note, I went to go edit this episode and realized that I had messed up the files and completely lost half the audio. So here we are again.
Welcome just back. Half?
Just half. I still had yours.
Oh, okay.
But that wouldn't make for a very good podcast if it was just you and your commentary.
In the quiet?
In the quiet. It'd be like 30 minutes of radio silence with just...
that would not sell well.
It would have gone great. But we're also prepping for our next market. Well, actually, I'll bring that up in a second. How was your week?
It was good. I did a really beautiful hike this morning.
Where'd you go?
Roxborough State Park.
You want to tell us more about it?
Carpenter's Peak. I think it's like 7,000 elevation.
7,000 foot elevation?
7,000 foots.
Okay, so Carpenter's Peak in Roxborough State Park.
Yeah.
You got a really cool picture of a caterpillar that you showed me. It was, what was it, yellow and blue, and it was fuzzy.
Yeah, maybe we'll share it with the good people.
That would be cool. It looked like a professional stock image.
It did. Yeah, that's probably one of the better pictures I've ever taken of a caterpillar.
Of a caterpillar, specifically. Yeah, it was really cool. It was pretty. Do you guys see any waterfalls or anything? You always end up finding water out there.
No, but we go by Chatfield to get there, and it is overflown. We've had a lot of rain in Colorado recently.
Chatfield Reservoir?
Yeah, Chatfield Reservoir. It is just swelling. Everything is super flooded right now.
Is it flooded or is it just back to its normal height?
I mean, right. I don't know. We've been in a drought for so long. I guess it's normal, but it's It's probably over normal right now.
Really?
Yeah, everything is. I mean, it's been raining every day, nonstop, sheets.
I am
Not nonstop, but
so
like
happy.
clockwork.
It's that summer afternoon rain. I
Right.
missed that. We used to have that as kids. We used to run outside with helmets on. We would put our swimsuits on and it would start hailing. And then we would put helmets on and then we'd just run out in the rain and the hail to see who could last the longest.
You could have just played paintball.
It was basically paintball. My mom said that we used to walk back in with welts and the neighbors would talk crap about us because she got told off by a couple of the neighbors for child endangerment.
Oh my God.
I know, that was back in the 90s too. Let's calm down.
Wow.
Well, fun. It sounds like you had a good start to your day.
I did.
I made bread and some soup.
Oh, that bread was so good.
It is so good. We're going to have that with dinner.
Delicious.
Mm.
And that garlic spread on there. Mm.
Yum. Also homemade. Actually, I don't homemake the butter. Maybe I'll get into homemaking butter too. We're just going to homestead.
We're just going to homestead it.
Life goals. You're going to come home and I'm going to be dressed like Little House on the Prairie.
Did we even tell them about the market?
No, not yet. Okay. As we brought up last episode, I make tie-dye. I make tie-dye clothing. I make bed linens.
Housewares.
Housewares, yeah, like kitchen towels, curtains. There's fun stuff like that. I make some really cool canvas bags too. They're totes. They're perfect with everybody getting off the plastic run, switching over to eco-friendly reusable totes. These are actually really great for it. I love them. I gave one to my mom and she loves it, takes it everywhere. Anyway, you can get your own. We will be at Arapahoe Community College if you're local or if you're going to be in town on June 24th. We'll be there from 10 to 3 p.m. Our stand is called Lupine and Lily. It's not just us. I promise you won't pull up to a parking lot with just me. But if you want to come out and say hello, they have some amazing local crafters. Walking around last time, I think they had like freeze-dried dog treats. They did freeze-dried candy. And then food trucks. I don't know if I mentioned that. The food trucks smelled so good. It's free to come to. It's fun. Whole family's invited. It's kid and pet friendly. First 50 people that go up to the main tent, you can sign up to get a VIP bag. And then you're also in the drawing to get it's like a main prize bag where each vendor puts in at least a $25 item. And all the VIP bags have free goodies and coupons, stuff like that. You can meet us. We would love to not just try to sell tie-dye that day, but talk aliens and paranormal, true crime, conspiracies.
Yeah, and tell us you're a listener. Maybe we'll do something for you.
Yeah, if you come up and you mention the podcast,
You get a free handshake.
well, we'll figure out something. But if you're looking for something fun and cool to do over the weekend, we also have a waterproof tent if it does start raining in the afternoon. We'd love to offer
Which is a
you
good
some
selling
shelter.
point right now.
It'll be great. So again, that's June 24th from 10 to 3 at Arapahoe Community College in Littleton. It's just off of Santa Fe.
Littleton, Colorado.
Oh man, we got to start videoing these. The look on your face.
Be
is
there
beautiful.
or be square.
Yep.
Tie or die, baby.
That was a lengthy plug for ourselves, but it's fun. There's never anything free to do on the weekends anymore, and this is free. So
Yeah, it's a fun time.
yeah, lots of free samples too from people. It's great. Was there anything else that you could think of?
Oh, no.
Then today we are going to We are going to delve into the topic of glitch in the matrix. So I found a subreddit. There's a couple of them, but I found one in particular that goes into the topic of glitch in the matrix. And in order to post on this subreddit, there are some rules that you have to abide by. And they include not including the Mandela effect. For those of you that don't know, it's when there's a large group that remembers things happening a certain way and they're now not that way. So it's like a mass false memory. And a lot of people feel that it might be caused by colliding timelines or parallel universes, people jumping from parallel universes into this one, just kind of merging all of them together.
You know why they call it the Mandela effect, right?
Well, it started with Nelson Mandela. A lot of people remember being in school back in the 80s, the 70s or 80s, and they remembered him passing away and it being a worldwide event where he passed away in jail. And now in this timeline, according to them, allegedly, he's still alive. He's still kicking. And that's why it's called that. So another rule is nothing that can be blamed on the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, which is otherwise known as frequency illusion or recency illusion. So it's basically if somebody comes up to you and says, oh my God, you never see orange cars anymore. And now you're driving down the road and every fifth car you see on the road is orange. That's not because they made more orange cars appear just because they mentioned it. It's because now somebody mentioned it and you're hyper-focused on it. So you're now noticing those specific things. Again, Baader-Meinhof phenomenon? No. Mandela effect? No. We're going for just a glitch in the matrix where it's like a video game failed to load correctly. Say your character gets stuck in repeat or frozen, or it gets stuck in, the leg is stuck in a cupboard and it just can't keep moving through the room or something. It loaded wrong and you're there to witness it. And it happens in real life.
Love it.
We'll dive into some of the stories of glitches that I found on Reddit. So this one was loaded up by user Novocaine. So the moon definitely just glitched and I'm trying just to not think about it, but I literally can't stop. I can't believe I'm even posting here. I was out leveling our family garden, picking out the weeds and just enjoying the evening, making the garden all nice to plant stuff tomorrow. I go to sit down, drink some water, pick up my phone to shoot a text to a friend, and then decide I'll walk down to my secret garden/fort to check on my wildflowers and caladium. As I'm walking down the hill, I do my normal routine and look at the sky to see what the clouds are doing today. I look up and see this huge, bright circle and was like, whoa. Mind you, I've seen many a full moon. This was like in your face. Hi, I'm the moon and you will notice me type bright. Yellowish, white, gleaming, pearly moon. And a perfect circle too. I'd never seen it so beautiful. I text my mom something like, wow, the moon is bright tonight. And I still have the text. I thought nothing of it, really, besides the fact there must be a full moon. Cool. So I go sit in my fort/garden thing for a while. I head back up the hill and go inside. When I sat down, I figured I'd check my moon phase app to see how illuminated it was. Sometimes a full moon looks full, but it's still at 85 to 99% illumination. I like to keep track of things up there. It's fascinating. Anyways, I look at the app and it says 10% illumination, waning crescent, age 26.47 days. So then I check Google. Same thing. I got up and I went back outside to look for the moon and it was just gone. Nothing. Only the sun setting. I got ballsy enough to just glance at the sun for a split second just to make sure I couldn't do it like I did with the moon. And now I'm sitting here typing this out because I literally don't know what to do with this. I decided I want to push it to the farthest corner of my brain, under a rug, never to be seen again. But first, I need to know if anyone else has genuinely gone through something like this before. What did I see? Because it sure as shit wasn't the moon then. A dim sun? An illuminated hole? A hallucination? A projection? I just want to be able to sleep tonight.
Weird. Wonder what it was. Saturn.
I don't know. It's, driving back and forth, because I've mentioned previously I lived in Iowa for a little bit, but I was driving back and forth to Colorado and Iowa a lot in between, taking trains or cars or planes, trains, and automobiles. Just kidding. But I remember a couple of times I got to learn the different moon phases because I would drive through the night a lot. It's a long drive, I think 13 and a half hours where I was going specifically. And the moon would come up. And there was one time in particular where I was heading out east of Denver. So I was east, still in Colorado. And the moon came up and it took up the whole windshield. It was like 2/3 of the windshield in the horizon. It was just obscenely huge. And so my mom was telling me about all the reasons it would be that way. It's a harvest moon. It's a full moon. It's this time of year, blah, blah, blah. It was just wild how huge it got. But it stayed. It didn't disappear on me.
Moon's crazy. Can't say too much about that one. I don't know what to think about somebody mistaking the moon.
For what?
Right?
Like what would it have been? You know the video we were watching the other night? The 911 call where the kid called in and he said there's two figures. Something fell out of the sky and there's two figures in my backyard.
Yeah.
and the police came out, and he took it seriously because they actually caught it on police dash cam.
Like something crashing.
Something crashing, and his partner called it in and said, hey, just saw a light fall out of the sky in this neighborhood. And then at that same time, within a few seconds, they got the 911 call.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but they didn't show the kid's backyard, and it took the police an hour to get over to their house. And the kid and his family were adamant they saw 8-foot, 9-foot tall figures in their backyard with big eyes. And the kid was desperate. He was pleading with the 911 operator. It's not a joke. I'm looking at these things right now.
Yeah, and it was very recent, just last month.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll be seeing more of that.
Oh, yeah. I believe so.
It just made me think, giant moon, aliens. I feel like those things go hand in hand.
A giant moon and aliens? Yeah, maybe.
Giant moon and aliens. Is the moon even real? I'm just kidding. Yes, the moon is real.
I figure it is. I see it all the time.
I think the moon is real. I think there's a dark side of the moon. And I think we're told a lot. But we wouldn't have the tides without it.
I mean, they just say dark side of the moon, but really it gets just as much light as the side we see.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. That's why you would have, like, the moon that, like, a moon phases for us.
The moon doesn't rotate.
No, it doesn't, but it stays on its axis and it faces us, so it will always eventually face the moon on the other side.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Because we're going around the sun.
I don't know enough about the moon to speak on that. But yeah, I mean, if it's not and it's just circling us and we see the same face at all times, of course it would have to face, like the other side would have to face the...
Yeah, it's tidal locked, but it's not, like imagine when you see the sun.
Tidal locked?
Tidal locked. That means the same side always faces us.
That's an actual saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's doing that, and then there's those times where you see the sun and the moon in the same sky.
Yeah.
The sun's way behind the moon.
Yeah.
So it's hitting the other side.
No, I understood that concept.
Yeah.
It just didn't occur to me to think about it that way.
Right.
We call it the dark side because it's the side we can't see. Makes sense. Oh my God. I just had a moment where I was thinking about my eyeball in my skull. And I was like, you'll never see the backside of your eyeball.
Well, yeah, because your eye does the seeing.
I know. Ugh. Yuck.
You know when you close your eyes, your eyeball rolls up?
Ew. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so when you close your eyes, you're really looking up like that.
Why?
Because that's like the natural position that your eyes lay in. That's why when people die, a lot of them look up like that because that's the relaxed position.
Ugh. Oh, God. I didn't know that. Ugh. Yeah, I guess there's a special category for killers that shoot. What is the word? They scoop your eyes out.
Oh, like an ice cream scoop.
Yeah, but they're...
Fruit scoop.
It's a specific brand of serial killer.
Oh, there's a name for the serial killer that scoops your eyes out with spoons?
Yeah, it's like an acclimator,
an eye bandit?
An eye bandit. Enucleator. That's what it is. Enucleator. Unless you're George W., and then it's enucleator.
So you can enucleate somebody?
Yes, I guess.
So whenever you see something that you wish you could unsee, you're like, I need an enucleation. I need to get enucleated.
Yes. So enucleation is the removal of the eye from the orbit and involves the separation of all tissue connections between the globe and the orbit.
Interesting.
Ugh. Yuck. And then you could, if they did it to one of your eyes, you could see the back of that eye.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, that was quite the rabbit hole for one story. We made it all the way out to the moon and back. Next one. This one was posted by Current Tree 770. They titled it, Seeing People Disappear. This has happened to me twice now within the last couple of years. The first time I was walking to work and on our city's main avenue. I looked to my left and noticed a man standing outside a building, talking on his phone, and he walked around the power/electrical unit that is outside the building. Nothing out of the ordinary. I looked away for a split second, and when I looked back in his direction, he was gone. He never came around the side of the unit. There's an alley that separates two buildings where he was, but I looked and nothing. I had to cut through the parking lot where he was, and this man was just gone. This was the first time I had seen anything like this, and it still shakes me up. The second was just a couple of days ago. I was walking to work. This is a new job, and it's at the different end of town, and going down the sidewalk. Now, my workplace is in a strip mall, and at the far right of this strip mall, closest to the sidewalk I was walking on, are the mailboxes for the building. I was coming down the hill and noticed a woman walking towards the mailboxes, again, not thinking anything of it. Just a lady going to check the mail for one of the businesses, right? I look away for a fraction of a second, and when I looked in her direction, she was gone. No car had pulled up, there's no door next to the mailboxes, and from where I was, I would have seen her walking around to one of the sides of the strip mall. This woman had completely vanished. I turned to walk towards the building and still no trace of her. No open mailboxes, nothing. I have told my husband about these 2 incidences, and he's equally as baffled as I am. Has anyone else had this happen? We keep joking that it's aliens or time travelers, but it's weird that I've seen it happen twice in broad daylight while on the way to work.
Yeah, so I went into my story last time we did this, and usually I would say, like, well, people, you just missed them. But this happened to me years ago, walking in the middle of the night. There's a lot of unnecessary context there, but so walking in the middle of the night down the street with me and an ex-girlfriend of mine years ago, and it must have been like 1 a.m. As we're walking down the street, no cars, no other people, we see an older lady, kind of like a bag lady, walking towards us on the same side of the sidewalk. So she's approaching and she's singing. She's singing something in Spanish, and she's clear as day, just in front of us. We're approaching each other 30 feet, 20 feet, 10 feet, right next to each other. Same side of the sidewalk and everything. And then as soon as we pass her, she stops singing. And we notice it immediately because it was really abrupt. So we turn around to see what happened, and she was just gone. There was nowhere she could have gone. I mean, when I say nowhere, like the nearest building was 30 feet away, maybe even more, probably like 50 to 60 feet away. Middle of the night, no one else around, nowhere she could have gone. And she was just disappeared. I always think back to that. Occasionally think back to that and think like, I probably just missed something. Hello?
Okay. All right.
All right. We're good.
So we just had a brief interruption. As I said, my kiddo is in town and our closet is actually also in the bathroom. And so we had to pause. Eric was in the middle of his story.
But I basically told it. The only thing I was just adding is that it's just looking back on it, I've kind of forgotten about it, but there's just no way it could have reasonably happened. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, and there was stuff, just if I'm recalling all this correctly as well, there was just kind of funky stuff that happened at that point in your life as well.
Right.
It was just, bad energies and darkness. And it was just on top of that, now you're walking down the street at 1 o'clock, 0 dark 30.
Right.
And she was singing, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And she was gone.
Yeah, straight up singing. But
that would
weird.
be so scary. And what you said, she was like a foot and a half behind you?
Yeah, I mean, she had just passed me.
And how close did she get to you? Was she like
we passed each other on the sidewalk.
So it was just a
She was directly next to me.
Couple inches?
Yeah.
That's such a mess of the mind. I don't, that would scare me so bad that I would freeze. I'm not a fight or a flight. I'm a freeze.
I stopped. I was like, all right, I'm just going to have to ignore that and keep walking.
Did your girlfriend at the time say anything to you?
No, we just looked at each other. And I'm sure we said something. We were like, did that really just happen? Are either one of us crazy? But what do you say? There's nothing we couldn't have elaborated. We were both there. We knew exactly what happened. And we were just like, we just need to get home.
Yeah. Like I said, I would have run. I would have run home. I would have been so scared.
It was nuts.
I would have sat down and cried. Well, thanks for sharing. This next story is from Hardigan99, and it's titled, The Phantom Road Construction. Did we travel in time? A bit of context first. I live in a small town that, together with 2 other smaller towns from the neighboring state, compose kind of a cluster, like a triangle with a town on each tip. Let's call them towns A, mine, B, and C. The towns are no more than 4 miles apart from each other and all are connected. For as long as I'm alive, the roads from AB and BC were paved, but the AC route remained a dirt road. I've been in both towns countless times, traveled these roads by bus, car, motorcycle, bicycle, even on foot on some occasions. I know these paths like the back of my hand. It's a beautiful place surrounded by wooded hills, coffee, and grape crops, rural communities, etc. So it's 2019 and the prefectures of my town and Town C decide to pave the road between them. Since they're in different states, they agree to start paving each one on its own side until the construction meets at the border. Great news for both towns. The construction begins. Every now and then I hear that the road is looking great. People would say things like, I've been to Town C this weekend and the construction looks nice already, and can't wait till the road is finished, so on and so forth. 2020 comes around and so does COVID. Right before the lockdown strikes, we learned that the road was almost finished. Constructions were close to meeting each other at the state border. Around 1 month stuck indoors, we're desperate for a change of scenery and some fresh air, so we decided to take a drive along B and C, enjoying the view and some music. We wouldn't even get out of the car, just drive. At this point, we had heard that the construction had finished and the road was now smooth and paved. I specifically remember my grandmother saying it as she went to Town C to deliver supplies to her sister at the time. One morning, we all hop in the car and just take off. We went to Town B, then Town C, but as we left Town C, ready to enter the road, we were shocked to find that nothing had changed. It was still the same old dirt road we had known for decades. Confused, we returned home, noticing that we were the only ones on the road that day. We couldn't spot any signs of construction or new infrastructure. Absolutely nothing had changed. We heard so much about it from so many different people, it just made no sense. The only strange thing was that we didn't see anyone else on the road but us after we left Town C. It was a bit unusual, but nothing impossible at the time. Apart from all that, it was a beautiful day and we all had a great time. When we shared our experience with relatives and friends, they found it just as puzzling as we did. Some even suggested that we might have taken the wrong road. But we know it's absolutely impossible. However, by the end of 2020, when things were just getting back to normal, we decided to revisit the road, and lo and behold, it was indeed paved, just as everyone had claimed before our first drive. My father jokingly suggests that we may have traveled in time, and sometimes I can't help but wonder if there's some truth to it.
Traveled in time.
I'm sorry if there's a lot of background noise in this one, but it just started raining and it is loud on the roof.
It's coming down over here.
Yeah, I can hear it above the roof.
Might just add to the spookiness.
Ooh.
Reminds me of the show that we're watching From.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, maybe they were approaching the town. It's a pretty good show. The premise is that people drive down the wrong road, and all of a sudden they're like transported into a town that they cannot escape from. And it happens to people all over the country.
Yeah, they put up a map and started trying to figure out where the road was located and realized everybody came from different parts of the United States of America, and they all end up in this town, and they all see the same thing right before they get there, a downed tree and some crows, and then they end up stuck in this town for, as far as we can tell, forever.
Yeah, so maybe that happened to these people, and they narrowly escaped the town.
They didn't say anything about a downed tree or crows, but if they had...
Maybe they just took a wrong turn.
Well, we all know what happens with that.
Taking a wrong turn?
Have you ever seen that movie?
Wrong Turn? Oh, yeah. It's been a long time.
You're right.
Axe Murderer.
Ugh, classic. Love it. All right. Well, yep, I've got nothing else on that story. Next. This one was posted by Wanderlusty, titled Small Glitch, Dog Displacement. So this is a very small but still strange glitch. I was at the kitchen island doing something when the dog entered the room. I could observe him, but he didn't see me. As I watched him coming towards me, he was suddenly about 3 feet further back than he was before. It happened without any kind of pause or missing time. He was walking and had almost reached the edge of the island, and then suddenly he was back a few steps and re-walked the same path again. Is this a common glitch?
That reminds me of The Matrix with the cat.
No, tell me, what do you mean?
You don't know? You've seen The Matrix?
Yeah, I saw the first one, and then years later I saw the third one, and then years later I went back and saw the second one.
And the first one where they're like taking him into the meeting spot, Keanu Reeves' character, he doesn't know anything about the Matrix, so he happens to see a oh, it's a deja vu. He happens to see a cat, and then he sees the same cat like crossing the same spot, and he says out loud, "Oh, deja vu," and they're like, "What?" Deja vu is like a glitch in the Matrix, means they're coming after us, and then all hell breaks loose.
Oh, so it means that Mr.
Oh.
Anderson. Is that
Well,
the
he
guy's
says
name?
Mr. Anderson. He's Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith, that's his name.
Yeah, he well, kind of. It means that they changed the code
Oh.
so that they could come after them. Cuz then all of a sudden like all their doors are brick walls and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so a deja vu moment could be rewriting code.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's how they can tell that the code has been rewritten in some way or changed in some way, and then that means that the people know what's up and they're affecting the code so that they can come after them.
Okay. I need to go back and watch those.
Classics, although a few years ago I tried to watch the first one again and it was so brutally, graphics are so bad.
They weren't for the time.
No, not for the time. They were amazing, but now you're just like, oof.
I don't know. My favorite genre is like B horror comedies.
Right.
Yeah, so trashy graphics are right up my alley.
But the third one is great. Good graphics and stuff.
With the twins are in the second one, right?
The twins are in the second one, yeah. So those ones are okay. Those are okay graphics. But the third one too, they tried to like make a lot of CGI Neo and Mr. Smith fighting and stuff.
Ooh, that was a good one.
That was good.
I hope that got picked up. If that didn't, I'll be upset at this microphone.
I hope that one came through so they can tell what we're reacting to.
The whole window lit up behind you before the crashing boom.
Nice.
Trashy graphics.
That's it.
Trashy taste in movies.
Trashy trash.
Just trash. Garbage people.
Garbage all around.
Well, that's crazy. So that's going to make me rethink deja vu because a lot of times I recognize things from dreams. Anytime from one day to a year, sometimes 2 years later, I'll see something happening in front of me and recall the dream I was having where I've seen it before or heard it before.
Yeah, that's common. I used to get that a lot.
Just rewriting code.
That's right.
Just kidding. I think there's a lot of other things. I believe in too many things for all of them to be real, but I staunchly believe in all of them.
Yeah, ultimately some things have to be fake and some things have to be real.
There's too much overlap and they can't be together at the same time.
Right.
But I'm just going to exist happily in my little closet over here.
You're doing great.
Thanks. All right. This next one is by Earthy Angel. It's titled Finding My Matching Shoe in the Middle of a Park. Couldn't think of how to name this post, but here's my little story that is still mind-boggling to me. I had a pair of Navy Champion brand slides that I would wear to a dog park I would frequent in the summer. It's right on the lake and I usually dip my feet in, so I would always wear those shoes. I wore them all the time and my left shoe started to tear, and the shoe was getting unwearable since it was hard to walk in them with the rip. I was heading down the path to the park with my dogs one day when I spot something in the middle of the path in front of me. As I got closer, I was shocked. It was my exact same shoe, exact same size, the left one, and in perfect condition. I stopped and looked at it, confused, and looked around. No one else was there. So I grabbed the shoe and walked around the park to see if anyone was around, and no one was there. I just kind of laughed to myself and thought it was a weird coincidence. So I put my ripped shoe in my backpack and put on the matching shoe I'd found. It's still super weird to think about. I guess there is a possibility of somebody losing that shoe in the park, right? I don't know. It's still wild. Has this happened to anyone else before?
That's so weird. Somebody was looking out for her, getting her a new shoe.
It's the right color, the same shoe, first of all, excellent condition. It's the right color, the right size, and the correct shoe that needed to be replaced.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's bonkers.
I mean, even down to the size. I could see the same shoe, maybe, but the same
like
shoe and
champion.
size.
And it's the only shoe that's damaged on her foot. The right one was fine. It was the left one that needed, and it happened to be the left shoe.
She could have had a stalker.
She could have. You know how you're driving down the road, and for unknown reasons, there's always a freaking shoe Like, you cannot take a road trip anywhere and not see at least one shoe on the side of the road, and it's always just one. I'm going to start paying attention if there are more right or left shoes that get left behind on medians, on main roadways.
All right, yeah, we'll stop every time.
No, we're not going to stop. We're just going to take a quick glance.
And we're going to get out of the car.
I'll yell shoe, and you'll look at me confused.
And we're going to have to
and I'll
run
be like,
across
Eric,
the highway.
Shoe, and you'll still be confused. And then I'll tell you we have to turn around, and that's when we run across the highway.
We will figure this one out.
It'll be good. Next adventure. We could write a song about it.
Which shoe did you lose?
No, I want some, like, Lord of the Rings. It's a sign. It needs to come to fruition. I want some Danny Elfman, composed wondrous tale of adventure about how many left shoes versus right shoes are abandoned on the sides of highways.
All right.
We're doing it.
It's going to be good.
All right, next story. Shanna 24601 titled their story, I Think We Saw a Time Traveler. So this happened about a week ago. Yikes, I felt that one in my feet. Woof. It's exciting. Storms a brewing. All right, back to the story. I think we saw a time traveler. So this happened about a week ago, but my memory is still pretty fresh. My boyfriend and I were in the car on the way to get dinner and chatting casually. Everything was normal. As we pulled up to a red light, somebody caught my attention. There was a guy, I'd say between 15 to 18 years old, walking on the sidewalk across the street. I noticed him because he looked like he was straight out of 2004. Baggy jeans, gray beanie, and a black t-shirt over a long-sleeve white shirt. I thought it was funny and figured he was some kind of a skater, so I pointed it out to my boyfriend and made some joke about the guy being from the 2000s. We both agreed he looked out of place, and that's when we started joking that he must be a time traveler. I said something like, he's probably thinking, whoa, dude, where am I? And as soon as I said it, the guy started to look around like he was confused. We were in a car and across a busy street from him, so there's no way he heard us. We remarked that it was weird as we watched the guy look around confused for a few moments. Then we both looked away for no more than half a second, I don't remember why, and when we turned back, the guy was gone. At first, we laughed and I thought it was funny, but the more we looked, the more we realized he had nowhere to go. He really just completely disappeared. I can't stress this enough. We barely looked away and he had nowhere to go that we wouldn't have been able to see him. We both freaked out and drove most of the rest of the way in silence while we thought about time travel. We haven't really talked about it since, but we agree that it was obviously really weird. So personally, me, 2000s, the 90s, they're all coming back right now, unfortunately. That style. The style this guy was in, totally, I can get on board with that. Loved that. That's my jam. But it wouldn't, I feel, be so unusual to see, I'm just going to keep talking through this thunder, to see somebody dressed like they were straight out of 2004. Baggy jeans, gray beanie, black t-shirt over a long sleeve. Okay. But the fact that he disappeared, like the bag lady that was singing next to you, like the person that saw them outside of the mailbox and the electrical box, where they just, poof, they're gone.
Right. Yeah, the idea of somebody time traveling and like not even consciously doing it, just kind of like stumbling into a different timeline. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, you just happen to be that person that lined up and just, you're walking and all of a sudden you're, where am I? And then you're back to your timeline.
Right. Here comes another one. Right.
Man, it is coming down out there.
I felt like it was coming towards me.
I feel like maybe we should keep an eye out for any tornado warnings.
Yeah, I got warnings that coming up on my computer and stuff. I got nothing yet.
I just have heavy thunderstorms popping up. All right. Last glitch. This was posted by SavvyG13. My first and only glitch experience. The bike. For context, when I was in high school, about 16 to 17 years old, I'm 27 now, my family was, let's just say, a little lower middle class. I came from a family of 5 kids, I was the oldest, and money was often tight. Despite being driving age, my parents couldn't afford to help me pay for a car, so my bike was the only thing I had if I needed to get somewhere my parents refused to drive me. Glitch in question. We lived on the corner lot of my block. Because of that, we had a bigger front lawn that my siblings used to leave their bikes out on all the time. My mom used to get pissed because my brother went through bikes left and right, and she would always threaten us, saying that if we didn't put our bikes away, they would rust or get stolen, and she will not be replacing them. One day I got home from a friend's right before it started to rain, making it a point to put my bike in the garage ASAP. About 20 minutes later, my mom busts into my room screaming at me about my bike being out in the rain. At this point, I figured maybe my brother had taken my bike and didn't put it back. He did this from time to time. It wasn't unusual. I went outside and found my bike laying on a far corner of our front lawn, right next to the sidewalk. I walked my bike back up to the garage, pissed that my brother both took my bike without asking and got me in trouble for it. But when I opened the garage, my bike was already inside, right where I had put it earlier. I stood there utterly confused with literally the same exact bike on my hands. Same brand, same color. It was a purple Titan Wildcat mountain bike with handbrakes. It had the same everything, and it even looked used like my bike. To this day, I still have no idea where that bike came from. No one ever came to claim it or say it was missing. My siblings also to this day still claim to not be responsible for bringing it home. The bike is actually still hanging in my parents' garage right next to my actual bike. Thinking about this interaction often leaves me with a weird feeling of being watched. I chose to accept this as a glitch, mostly because the alternative of who or whatever left this bike on my lawn, being close enough to me to know what bike I rode and where I lived, creeps me out much worse. Has anyone else ever had an item duplicate itself? The rain just picked up so hard, I don't think Eric can even hear me.
That's that's a parallel universe one right there.
Yeah, where the bike got dropped into this universe.
Yeah. Hey, that's handy.
Which
Get
stinks.
two of the same bike.
Yeah, I mean, it's handy for this kid, but his alternate self in the universe that dropped the bike on the corner of the lot
No
didn't
more
take
bike
the
for
time.
that kid.
Yeah, now he thinks his bike got stolen, but it really just zipped over into another universe.
Yeah.
And if that kid's getting yelled at, and this one's just like, now I've got two bikes.
Right. That's weird. Never had anything like that happen to me.
I've had my bike stolen.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I've never had a free thing come out of a parallel universe for me.
That you know of.
That I know of. Yeah, that I know of. That's true.
I wonder if your parallel selves put everything in like weird spots like you do. You never put anything down in the same place twice. Keys, wallet, sunglasses.
My parallel universe self is very organized.
Has the same spot for everything.
Yeah.
I wonder if sometimes when you lose your stuff. No, because whenever you lose your stuff, you always get it back. Like, how many times have you left your wallet full of everything important at like Home Depot and they just call you and they're like, hey, we've got your wallet. Or you walk in and you're like, I think I left my wallet untouched right there waiting for you.
I am one of the luckiest people you will ever meet in terms of losing stuff. I'll leave it somewhere and it's always there.
Don't jinx that. Knock on wood.
You just knock on your head.
I knock on my scar because it hurts, so I feel that it offsets it if I don't have wood nearby.
All right.
It's just what I do. Anyway, back to you. Yes, you are the luckiest person alive, and I would laugh if your alternate self is the one that has the regular routine with where they put their stuff, and that's why you find it, and they're constantly losing their stuff.
Yeah, even though they're super organized.
And you actually lost yours, but now you have the parallel universe wallet.
Yeah.
Or keys.
It's kind of like that movie that we watched that's based off of a Goosebumps book.
Oh, which one?
Remember when they find a mirror that takes them into parallel universes?
Yes.
So they just keep going in there and taking their own wallet.
Yeah, stuff like that where they were stealing stuff. I did not sit through that whole one, so there's a lot of that one I don't remember.
Yeah, the guy was going in and stealing from himself.
That's awful.
So he had all the information and bank cards and everything, but his other universe self just kept losing out. But the thing is, every time they would go into a different universe. So it was never the same one. So he was just over and over stealing all of his own money.
That is terrible. You want to talk about garbage people things? That's
crazy.
A garbage person thing to do. To yourself, no loyalties.
I know, right? At least go to your
None.
enemies.
Right? Ugh. Well, we should probably...
Goosebumps, good books.
Goosebumps are good books. I went from Goosebumps to R.L. Stine to Christopher Pike to Stephen King. What is it? Jonathan Kellerman
Nice.
was my next step up. Is it hailing now?
I think we have hail now.
All right. Well, let's try to end this quick because that's going to make editing a bummer for me.
Yep.
Thank you all so much for joining us on this very rainy afternoon. We appreciate you. We appreciate you following us. We appreciate your support. We would love to hear your feedback on what's going on. If you have something that you've thought of that you want to hear us talk about, please send us an email. You can hit us up at apartment309podcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram. We've got a website, apartment309podcast.com. Obviously, Instagram's the same @ handle as all of that. What else? The Market, June 24th from 10 to 3. Come say hi in person, and we might come up with something tangible that we could give you. Your guys' support is everything to us. If you do like listening to us and you know anybody else that likes paranormal, trivial stuff and long tangents, by all means tell them about us. We'd love to talk to them too. Hope you're all having a killer start to your summer. Not literally. Well, don't forget to rate us. It helps us get a wider reach. And we hope you join myself, Lauren,
and Eric
next time
in Apartment 309.